Good morning, everyone, and welcome to South Arts informational webinar for the cross-sector impact grants. Before we begin, I want to let you know that you can enable the live transcription feature for this webinar. Also, this webinar is being recorded and should be available on our website soon. I'm Nikki Estes. I'm the Director of Presenting and Touring at South Arts. I manage several grant programs, including the cross-sector impact grants. I'm joined today by my colleague, Joseph Crawford, who is working behind the scene to manage the technical needs of this webinar. Joseph will also facilitate the Q&A session in a little bit. And I'm thrilled that we are being joined by two cross-sector impact partners and past grantees, Kimberly Kirkland and Lilith Taylor. Kimberly and Lilith, please introduce yourselves. Oh, Lilith, you're on mute.
Sorry. My name is Lilith Taylor. I am co-founder of Bibb & Tucker Co-op in Birmingham, Alabama, and I am a fiber artist.
Yes, and I'm Kimberly. I direct our University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB, Arts and Medicine program. And it's part of the UAB Arts Alliance, which is composed of about 4 different departments, performing arts, visual arts, education, and arts and medicine. And so I've been in this field of kind of nonprofit arts and education engagement and medicine for almost 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you both for joining us today. So today's webinar will focus on the letter of interest process. I will provide an overview of the program before digging into the program requirements. And then we will hear more from a past project that was funded for multiple grant cycles. And we will definitely have time at the end to answer many of your questions. Just be sure to use the Q&A box to ask your question. Before I go on, I want to mention that although we do offer the opportunity for previous grantees to apply for continued support, this webinar focuses on the LOI process for new applicants, or applicants that have not been previously funded through the cross-sector impact program. Grantees that have received the cross-sector impact grant in the past do not submit LOIs. So I want to first share a little bit more about South Arts, our mission, goals, and programming. South Arts' mission is advancing Southern vitality through the arts. Our work is designed to address the issues important to our Southern region and to link the South with the nation and the world through the arts. Our work supports Southern artists, Southern arts organizations, and Southern communities. South Arts offers grants to artists and fellowships, community and organization grants, leadership development, convenings, programming in film, jazz, and traditional arts, and other resources. I encourage you to visit our website to learn more about our work. So as a regional arts organization, we partner with the National Endowment for the Arts and the state arts agencies in the South to deliver services and provide programming. Most of our programs operate within our 9-state region, which includes Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, the Carolinas, and Tennessee. However, we also have a few programs that reach beyond these states to serve the national arts community. To be clear, if you and your partner are not located in our 9-state region, unfortunately, you cannot apply for a cross-sector impact grant. But please know that every state has a regional arts organization, and I encourage you to learn more about which region serves your state. We are excited to offer the cross-sector impact grants for a 6th year, and I want to spend a few minutes talking about the what and the why of this program. This grant program is designed to support partnerships between the arts and the non-art sector in creating and developing programs that address the challenges, strengths of our community that we're facing today. The program brings together the arts and community or social issues. For example, eligible projects may include programs which address arts and climate change, arts and equity, or arts and housing. And when I say the arts, I mean all arts, from performing arts to the media arts. For projects new to this program, we encourage applications from new partnerships. However, please know that projects that deepen or expand existing partnerships are also eligible and encouraged to apply. Applicants are encouraged to think expansively about possibilities for projects and partnerships, and to think about creative possibilities to those solutions. This program is not designed to support ongoing educational programs, but rather to help applicants leverage their partnerships. Programs which deliver an arts experience to a constituency are not really what this program is for. Therefore, arts education or educational programs are not eligible. For example, an after-school program that provides art classes to students is not a good fit for this program. In a moment, I'll talk more about what is a good fit. I want to emphasize that the partnership between these two sectors, we are really looking for a true partnership, not simply delivering or providing a service or program for another organization or its constituency, but truly working together, developing the program together, and having some shared goals and some shared risk. So what would be a good fit for this program? A project that uses the arts as a tool to address a non-arts issue. For example, a little later, you will hear about the collaboration between the University of Alabama at Birmingham and Bibb and Tucker Co-op. This partnership utilized the art of quilting to address isolation and loneliness of seniors. The goal was not to provide art classes for seniors, but rather to offer classes to decrease loneliness, build community and purpose, and provide positive mental and physical health benefits of senior adults. So why did we create this program? In short, we wanted to be more strategic and impactful with our grant dollars. This program closely aligns with two of our strategic goals: connecting artists and arts professionals to the South and to our resources to increase opportunities for success, and advancing impactful arts-based programs that recognize and address trends and the evolving needs of a wide range of communities in the South. Also, we know that the arts and artists play a vital role in addressing challenges and harnessing the strength of communities. We recognize that partnerships and working across sectors can bring new opportunity, increase effectiveness, and greater depth to projects. In addition, rapid change and the call for change are happening in communities around the country and throughout the South. So this has only increased our need for programs like this, which allow us to strengthen communities using the arts. Before I review the program timeline, I do want to acknowledge that this is a very competitive process. Last year, we received 115 eligible LOIs, and we invited 22, about 20% of the new applicants, to submit full applications. We funded 16 of those projects. In addition, we funded 5 previous grantees and overall awarded over $278,000. This year, we anticipate funding 10 new applicants and 5 previous grantees. For projects new to this program, we use a 2-step application process to help lower the barrier for entry and to reduce the burden on potential applicants by only initially requiring a letter of interest form. So let's review the timeline. The letter of interest form is due by August 1st. You will receive notification around August 29th if you're invited to submit a full application. Full applications are due October 1st, and you'll receive notification whether or not the grant is awarded around mid-November. Also, please know that the project period is January 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2026. So again, this webinar will focus on the LOI interest stage. If you are a current or previous grantee, you only need to submit a full application and we will notify you when it is available. For those invited to submit a full application, you will receive an invitation to apply and additional instructions by August 29th. For this partnership program, we are looking for 2 principal partners, which can include artists or organizations. This does not mean that you cannot have additional individuals or organizations involved, but you are limited to 2 principal partners. For these 2 partners, one must be from the arts sector and one from the non-arts sector. The non-arts partner must be an organization. For example, a nonprofit arts organization or unit of government can partner with another nonprofit or unit of government outside of the arts. Or an individual artist can partner with a nonprofit organization or unit of government from a non-art sector. Please know that an artist or arts organization without a non-arts partner is ineligible. Also, K through 12 institutions and partnerships between different university departments are not eligible. Finally, because we re-grant federal dollars, federal agencies or divisions of federal agencies are not eligible for this grant program. Again, individuals and organizations, in addition to the 2 primary partners, can be included in the project's implementation, but no grant funds can be awarded or given to these additional individuals or organizations. As I mentioned earlier, all art forms are eligible for the cross-sector impact grants. This includes, but is not limited to, performing arts, literary arts, visual arts, film or media arts, traditional and folk arts, as well as multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary art forms. The arts partner should represent one or more of these art disciplines. The eligible areas of community impact include, but are not limited to, education, the environment, health and human services, infrastructure, and social justice. The non-arts partner should represent the community impact area of the project. I do want to mention a great resource from Americans for the Arts. It's available on their website. If you want to see examples of how the arts intersect other sectors or to better understand cross-sector collaboration, this resource is highly recommended and can be accessed from our website. Also on our website, you can see previously funded cross-sector impact projects and also a recent webinar that we hosted on arts and climate change. Now let's take a look at a few eligibility criteria. All partners must be located or reside in South Arts 9-state region, which includes, I'll state it again, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Applicants must be in good standing with us, meaning that there are no outstanding final reports, and there was grant compliance with previous grants. Although the LOI and the application include 2 principal partners, only one must have tax-exempt 501c3 status, be a unit of government, or be a federally recognized tribal community. This partner must also have a unique entity identifier. The UEI is a free number given by the federal government and is required since we re-grant federal dollars. I want to encourage you, if you're planning to apply, to get registered so that you can have this number in time for the application deadline should you be invited to apply. The LOI will be required with the application submission, and there are no exceptions. You can find additional information and instructions about the UEI on our website, and I want to discourage you from using any paid service to get your UEI. This is a free service and a free number, but it may take some time. So what is required for your project? Your project must include a minimum of 2 public-facing events. These events may be virtual or in person. What we mean by public-facing is one event must be a public presentation that provides individuals with an arts experience or encounter. It can be an exhibition, a screening, or other activity. Also, it can be free or ticketed, but it must be marketed and open to anyone who wishes to attend. Excuse me. The second event can include an additional activity just like the one I described, or it can be an activity that provides greater context or deeper understanding of the arts experience, the art form, the artistic process, or the community issue. This event can have a targeted audience or group of participants, such as students, a business group, artists, or patients, for example. Also, please remember that these are minimums, not maximums. We welcome projects that include more than 2 community engagement events. Also, accessibility is important and required. Projects and activities supported by our grant must be accessible to anyone who wants to participate. As part of our diversity, equity, and inclusion accessibility work, South Arts prioritizes accessibility. You are required to ensure physical and programmatic access to individuals with disabilities. This is a federal requirement and a civil rights issue. We hope that applicants understand the diverse needs of individuals with disabilities, and we encourage you to think not only about physical and mobility, but also vision, hearing, cognitive disabilities as well. So let's turn our attention to the budget, what is allowed and what is required. The minimum request is $5,000 and the maximum request is $15,000 for new applicants. This grant requires a 2-to-1 match. That means that for every South Arts grant dollar, you must match the grant by 50 cents. So a $5,000 grant means a $2,500 match. The match must include cash, and it can include contributions that are in kind up to 50%. For example, the $2,500 match can be $1,250 cash and $1,250 in kind. Based on this example, this means that your project expenses are $7,500. In-kind contributions are goods or services that have a specific value, but that are provided in lieu of cash. For example, if an art supply store provided paint for your project at no cost, you can consider the cost of the paint as an in-kind contribution. Like in the past, we anticipate fully funding projects. This means that we want you to be realistic with your budget and your grant request. Also, we want to ask that you be sure that you can meet the match. We'll take a closer look at a sample budget next. So just as another example, a $15,000 grant means that your match is $7,500. This also means that your project expenses total at least $22,500. Your $7,500 match can be all cash, like in this example. However, 50% of the match must be cash, and the other 50% can be in-kind contributions if you choose. So if you are using in-kind contributions for your match, no more than $3,750 can be included. The remaining $3,750 must be cash. Okay, so let's take a look here and also note that this is on our website for what is eligible for expenses. The listing provides examples and is not meant to be complete, so if you have questions, please ask. Your expenses must directly relate to your project. Indirect expenses are not included. And new this year, we are supporting direct staff time diverted to this project. However, this is limited to 10% of the total cash expenses and cannot exceed $5,000. Ineligible cash expenses are not negotiable, and they include overhead expenses and indirect cost. Please know that this grant does not support permanent public art. It does support contemporary public art. And for this program, we define contemporary public art as public art that is exhibited and shown for not more than 18 months. Permanent art projects are not eligible because capital expenses are not eligible with these funds. These projects, as a reminder, are not intended for the creation of new work as the central element of the project. However, work that is created as a secondary outcome or in which the community participants are highly involved in the creative process is acceptable. When developing your budget, I encourage you to ensure that there is consistency between the budget and the narrative. They should work together and support each other. And please know that we understand that this is a preliminary budget that's going to be submitted with your LOI and that changes may be necessary with a full application submission. Your LOI will be reviewed with this criteria in mind: the project design, the artistic quality, the community impact, and your capacity. We will be evaluating LOIs on their potential to most closely address these 4 areas. The same criteria will be used for full applications as well. I recognize that there's a lot of information on this slide and that you may not be able to read it all in time before we move on, but this information is also on our website, and I hope that you will review it as it should help you prepare for your LOI and application submission. I also want to mention that priority will be given to projects taking place in small communities, rural communities, or isolated communities. In addition, I briefly mentioned that we are committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, and we have prioritized this commitment to ensure that Black, Indigenous, and people of color-led organizations, LGBTQIA+-led organizations, or organizations representing individuals with disabilities are represented as both applicants and grantees. We want to encourage applications for projects that engage a broad spectrum of diversity. And finally, I want to mention that we want to see deep community involvement and engagement with these projects. We want to share a few thoughts about your readiness to apply. These are not additional funding criteria, but they're questions that are meant to help you think through your partnership. So before you apply, please consider these questions. Do the partners have a history of successfully working together with others? Have the 2 partners worked together in the past, or are they working together now? Is the separation of responsibilities and authority between the 2 partners established and agreed upon, including the financial responsibilities? Do the partners have complementary strengths and resources such that this partnership is necessary for success? Now let's take a look at what you'll need to do if you want to move forward with an LOI form. You must use our online system, which is Salesforce, to submit your letter of interest form. And this required information is due by 11:59 Eastern on August 1st. Please remember that this is an Eastern time deadline, and unfortunately, we cannot accept late or incomplete LOIs. So please do not wait until the last minute to submit your LOI. I want to highly recommend that you visit the website early in order to properly prepare. And beginning your LOI form early also means that you are able to get the staff assistance that you need. You will need to address several questions that is no more than 2 pages of text. The questions will focus on the area of community or social impact that you're trying to influence in your community, and why the artistic component of the project will be effective in addressing it. The 2 partners, the nature of their relationship and why the partners are working together, and the main activities for the project, including where and when the project will take place. You will also need to provide a preliminary budget. And finally, we ask for demographic and basic information for each partner. Please note that demographic information is solely for informational purposes only and is not used in the review process. You can access our grants management system, which again is Salesforce, from the Cross-Sector Impact Grant webpage. If you have not yet used South Arts system, you will be required to create a new account. Information entered in the LOI form will transfer to the full application should you be invited to submit a full application. Please remember that cross-sector impact grants are found under grants for communities and organizations. If an artist is the lead partner, please be sure that the application account is created by the organization partner. We do apologize for this, but if you register as an artist, the cross-sector impact grant is not an option under the artist grants in our portal. There are several sections to the LOI process, and I recommend that you save your work often. Advancing to another section does not save your work. Only the save button will do that, so please save often. In the LOI form, you will need to provide information about partner 1 and partner 2, project details, the project timeline, and the project budget. When you submit your LOI, you will receive an email which serves as a confirmation that we have received your LOI. If you do not receive an email, please check your spam and junk folders. And please be aware that you will not be able to see a copy of your LOI after submission, so you may want to print a copy before you submit. So to wrap things up, I just have a few more suggestions or reminders and what to expect next. A limited number of those submitting LOIs will be invited to a full application. Again, you will receive an email by August 29th, letting you know whether or not you are being invited to the next phase. Full applications are due approximately 4 weeks later on October 1st at 11:59 Eastern. Again, please remember that later incomplete applications are not accepted. Also, you will be invited to have one-on-one calls with me to discuss your project and application in early September. And applicants will be notified by mid-November about funding. If you receive funding, you will be required to provide accessibility to all grant-funded activities. You will also need to acknowledge South Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts and write your federal legislators. You will be required to complete a final report addressing the project outcomes, providing participant, partner, and activity details, and finalizing the project budget. So, as I mentioned earlier, South Arts accepts applications from new and existing partnerships. The University of Alabama at Birmingham and Bibb Tucker So-Op had a long history together, and we'll share more about why they came together for this project. Lilith and Kimberly, please feel free to share your thoughts on the value of partnership, any successes or lessons learned, or any takeaways that might be helpful for applicants.
Yes, sure. Well, I will start us off, but as Nikki mentioned, we, between University of Alabama at Birmingham and of course our hospital, we had a long partnership with Lilith and the Bibb and Tucker So-Op. So, while that might be, hopefully that's not unusual, but we were able to write off, as soon as I think probably, the UAB side saw the notification about the grant opportunity. And again, because we'd had this long partnership with Lilith and also the organization, we knew that our missions aligned really well. And we knew each other's strengths. We knew what we could bring to the partnership. And so that was one of the main reasons why I reached out to Lilith.
Yeah, I think that we were already working together, and so this was a funding opportunity that would, allow us to expand on a partnership that was very fruitful already. Bibb Tucker SOAP was really committed to multi-generational collaboration. And also, when Kimberly came to me with this idea, we did not have access to a population that we were going to then be able to work with. So we had all of these elders who had skills to share, and there was a population of elders who were, isolated, and we could offer peer-to-peer skill sharing, and that seemed like a magical opportunity. So it was really kind of something that uh, was already in the works when we applied for the funding.
Yeah, and I'll just say that that we had already had close relationships with about 12 HUD subsidized senior living, independent living facilities. And so that's why, that already those already established partners, we knew this would be of interest, because we had been, communicating and working with them for so long. And then, of course, Lilith and her team would be a great fit for deepening those relationships and bringing in something new.
And I also wanted to, so we did have challenges. I founded the organization in 2014 and was looking to step away to do other things, as well as to make room for other leadership opportunities. And we were in year 2 of this partnership. We had already received funding, and I had to fight for the continuation of the project, which for the incoming ED just didn't align with her new goals for Bibb Tucker. And so I would definitely consider, you're applying for this and you're excited, but what is the full timeline on the back end once you receive the funding? And can you commit to that and advocate for it so that the project goes through? Because just because there are 2 partners, this is really one major partnership that needs to take over and be a part of the whole project till the end.
Lilith, how did you overcome that piece with the leadership transfer when you found out she wasn't so interested?
Yeah, and I mean, it was definitely about a new vision for the organization and what capacity different people could maintain. And so I took off my executive director hat and put on my community artist hat and just carried on as if we were a organization and a partner, an individual artist carrying on the program. And because we were in, I think, year 2 when this happened, the team that had been working on this project kind of from the Bibb Tucker side, which were older retirees with massive amounts of skills and time, we were able to shift to where that group helped me as volunteers because they had already been a part of the project for a year and saw the value for themselves and for the folks that we were teaching and working with every week.
Yeah, and so kind of, what we talked about, Lilith, when we were, discussing this this webinar, we were thinking about, key takeaways that were really important for us, because even though, we had been working closely together for a while, what was it about that, partnership that we knew we would have success in this program. And so, we talked about how we each had very clearly defined roles. And so, of course, as part of UAB, we were, we were the lead on the grant. We took care of all the administrative type things. We had reached out to our, the facilities, and then of course Lilith was and her team was in charge of the actual delivery of the art programs and the creation of the artistic elements of the project. We also knew that we had very good communication with one another, and our teams had very good, because it's of course not just the two of us, our teams had very good communication. And so, that was key. We also were able to trust each other, trust in the process. And that trust, I think, is really, really valuable. And then also, and of course our missions aligned, we knew that, but also we knew that each of our organizations was really focused on our missions and serving people, as opposed to anything like, personal or it's not about us, it's about serving our our community. And so that's kind of how we led. We knew each other, felt that way. And so again, we were able to just trust those aspects of our relationship that we knew were so important to this kind of project. And that's what individually, we both look for now in our future partnerships. Lilith, anything else?
That was a beautiful bow added to the whole thing. I think I just want to reiterate that, and this was actually something Nikki had us thinking about and preparing to talk with everyone today. How does this partnership increase community impact? And it was also very clear that if we were to come together, this interaction, this long-term interaction with the residents of these HUD-funded facilities would be able to take place seamlessly, not to be punny, but in a way that Bibb and Tucker could not have done without the partnership. So it benefited both of the organizations in terms of the goals that we had, but ultimately I think it was very clear how it benefited the residents. If the partnership had not happened, we could not have done this. And I also wanted to say that UAB was instrumental in the final public facing event that we had after these sessions, where within the individual facilities, the residents were able to come together at UAB, have a fancy experience, and get to see all of their work displayed in a way that they probably had not imagined when we were initially having the week-to-week sessions with them. But yeah.
So it's great to see them all come together from all across the city, celebrate each other's work, and
eat fancy food.
Right.
Thank you. Do you have anything else to add before we move on?
Good luck.
Thank you so much. So what I heard from you was that from takeaways were that strong communication, clearly defined roles, your commitment to work through the challenges, trust, and shared goals were, really what made this partnership and collaboration happen. And I think those will probably resonate for all the projects that are going to be discussed in the LOI. So thank you for those takeaways and for sharing. Okay, so we are going to wrap up with some questions. Thank you so much, Kimberly and Lillis. We'll take the next 15 minutes to review and answer your questions. So if you have questions, again, please use the Q&A feature. And Joseph is going to read the questions, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. And those that we aren't able to answer, we'll be sure to address those in the Q&A section of the website. So Joseph, whenever you're ready.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, sorry about that. So our first question is, can there be 3 entities that apply together?
There cannot. So you are limited and required to only have 2 principal partners for this grant. You can, of course, include additional individuals or organizations in the project, but no grant funds can go towards those individuals or organizations. So you cannot have 3 entities on the LOI or application. You're limited to 2, and 2 is required.
Awesome, thank you. And do you partner with newly established nonprofits?
We do. So we don't have any limit on how long you must be in existence. We simply require that one of the partners is or has a 501c3 status. So we don't say that you have to be in existence for a year or 2 years or 3. As long as you have status at the time of the LOI submission, you're eligible.
And will you consider a partnership to benefit youth mental health if it takes place in an after-school program?
Yes.
Awesome. And can you describe more about the types of partnerships you are looking for?
Well, really a range. I really don't have an exhaustive list. I would say that what we're really trying to accomplish with this program is to address non-arts issues, to address community issues, and to use the arts as a creative tool, as a resource for addressing those issues. So it can be a wide range of things. And what we're looking for are issues that are relevant to specific communities. And so that varies based on which community you're located in and who your constituents are. I will mention that I mentioned earlier in the webinar that the Americans for the Arts has a great tool on their website that talks about many different cross-sector projects and what that might look like. And so that might be a great resource if you're looking for some examples. They have many examples about various sectors that engage the arts in their work.
Great, thank you. And can you give a couple examples of what you consider a non-arts sector?
Well, it could be the military, it could be housing, it could relate to nutrition, climate change.
Great, thank you. And would a museum, library, and archives be considered a non-arts partner?
If it is humanities-based, then we would likely not consider it an arts organization. But if the museum is based, well, sorry, if the museum is not a humanities museum, then I would say, no, we would not consider it an arts organization, if that's the question, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, I think that answers it. Our next one is, would awardees be required to have a Section 504 workbook on file? Are there any other documents they need to have?
No, you do not. So this relates to, if you don't know the reference to an accessibility, you do not have have that document on file. It is a resource to be used to help organizations think through what's possible with accessibility. We do ask in the full application how you plan to make sure that this project and the activities are accessible. And so that is a resource that that could be helpful in addressing that. And if you're invited to apply, you will be asked to give that some, deep thought and to ensure that the project's going to be accessible. And it is something that we do look at when we review your application. And as I mentioned, accessibility is a requirement for the activities and for the funds.
Great, thank you. And can an arts organization partner with a non-arts division or department of local government?
Repeat that one.
Can an arts organization partner with a non-arts division or department of a local government?
Yes.
Awesome. Can a community nonprofit community festival apply?
You should be able to. So as long as one of the partners has 501c3 status, a community festival can apply.
Awesome. And someone asks, can the partners contract with ASL interpreters?
Yes, and it is actually an eligible expense that can be covered by the grant funds.
So, and is it okay if the match is if the dollar raise match is raised via crowdfunding?
Sure. So we really don't put any restrictions about where the cash match can come from, with one exception. The cash match cannot include any other federal dollars. How you raise the money is completely up to you, and there are no restrictions outside of the federal funds.
Great, thank you. And if the cost match exceeds the 1 to 2, i.e. the project budget expenses are 50,000 and the request is 15,000, is that still okay?
Of course, yes.
Great. Can catering for an art show be an allowable?
It is. We do have some restrictions. So food and beverage can be covered as an eligible project expense. It cannot include alcohol. And again, it has to be directly related. So if it's happening during project activities that are supported by the application and the funds, then yes.
And can we get access to this deck post-webinar?
Yeah, so I don't believe that we'll have just the slide deck available, but we will have the entire webinar recording, including these questions, available probably in a few days on our website. And that can be found on the Cross-Sector Impact Grant webpage.
Awesome, thank you. Can staff time be counted as in-kind match?
So staff time can be counted as in-kind match if it is a direct expense. So if it is directly related to the project or carrying out the project, it can be counted as in-kind. Indirect expenses, including other indirect staff costs, cannot be used as part of the match, including in-kind contributions. So to be clear, yes, staff time can be used if it's direct staff time diverted to this project can be used as part of the in-kind contributions or match.
Great, thank you. Can a partner that is not a school system apply for a grant that benefits and brings art/humanities to a school system?
It really depends. I would maybe say less talk so I can hear more. So just to go back to who's eligible, K through 12 institutions are not eligible to be a partner. However, you can engage K through 12 students in your activities. So if the activities are solely to provide arts programming for K through 12 students, and that's the core of the project, I would say it probably is not going to be a good fit for this grant program because again, the grant program isn't really about providing arts services or arts education. It is about using the arts to address a need, a community need that really falls outside of the arts.
Awesome, thank you. And this one's similar to the other festival question, but a little different. Would you support an LGBTQIA plus social justice program with a government, not a nonprofit, entity within the context of a Pride Festival event? Or does the proposed program need to stand outside of the festival as part of a year-round programming effort?
So let me make sure I understand. Project does not have to be a year-round project. A LGBTQIA plus festival, working with local government, would be an eligible partnership and project. And I don't know if there was another component to that question.
No, I think that covered it.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Can the second partner for a nonprofit, can the second partner be a for-profit such as a law firm?
Yes, so we only require that one partner out of the two have 501c3 status. The non-arts partner must be an organization, and we don't have any restrictions of whether or not they it has to be a nonprofit organization or not.
Great, thank you. And this one asks, could a nonprofit apply under one name but involve / fund two departments with an external artist partner?
Can you repeat that question?
Yes. Could a nonprofit apply under one name but involve or fund two departments with an external artist partner?
So it sounds like, if I'm unpacking the question, that the nonprofit organization has various departments. And I'm assuming that it's going to be a non-arts partner, and they are working with an artist. So if that is the case, that is an eligible project design. So let's just say it's a university, and perhaps the university is going to work with various university departments, and these are non-arts departments, and they're going to work with an artist. Then yes, that would be eligible. The larger institution could involve various departments, but what we don't allow is for the two primary or principal partners to be different departments within a university. So let's say the university art department cannot partner with the university science department. That would not be eligible.
Got it, thank you. Our next one is this grant a good fit for an artist to partner with a church that has a 501c3 status?
That would be an eligible partnership.
Awesome. And this person asks, can we go over the budgeting side one more time? Which that information would be available on our website, correct?
So we do list the eligible expenses on our website. And if you want the budget example, are you able to pull that up, Joseph? And I can go over it again if this is the question.
Yes.
And then after, probably we'll have time for one last question.
Might have to click through.
Okay, so if this is what you're asking, this is a very simple example, but this shows a project that has a total expense, or the project costs are going to equal $22,500. This also shows that there is a grant request for $15,000. Because of the grant request is $15,000, and because we require a 2-to-1 match, what that means is that you must match our $15,000 grant with $7,500. You can see that that $7,500 is shown $5,000 for the foundation, $2,000 for individual contributions, and $500 for corporate sponsor. Those three equals $7,500, and this will be considered a cash match. Just keep in mind that you may not have solely a cash match, and it is not required that your match be solely cash. You are allowed to provide in-kind contributions as part of your match. They just cannot exceed 50%. So that means, again, if you're asking for a $5,000 grant and you want to use in-kind contributions, your in-kind contributions cannot exceed $3,750, and your cash match must be at least $3,750. You'll also see below that the expenses are a variety of expenses, and they total $22,500, as well as the income. So I hope that answers your question. Again, we have on the next slide, we have a list of eligible expenses, as if you want to, thanks, Joseph, and a list of ineligible. This is not a list meant to be exhaustive, but these are typically the expenses that are supported by our grant program. If you have other questions about what might or might not be eligible, I would encourage you to give me a call or send me an email, and I'm happy to answer any specific questions about our budget, expenses, what's required and what can't be asked for, and also to clarify anything that may not be clear. So I think we might have time for, yes, one more question, and then I'll wrap things up.
Great. And for this last question, we'll go with, is it better to have a new project, or can we apply for funds to support an existing partnership project?
We accept applications from both. And so as an example, you heard a lot from Lilith and Kimberly. Had an existing partnership and worked together in the past. That is completely fine. We also want to encourage new partnerships as well. And so with the new partnership, there are just some questions that you probably need to work out and be really clear about in the LOI. We kind of talked through some of those about what's the role of each partner. Have you all decided about the division of responsibility? Who's going to do what? So both are accepted, and I wouldn't say one is better than the other. It really does depend on the strength of the project and the strength of the collaboration and community involvement, and looking at the other criteria, the design of the project, your capacity. So those are the things that are important. The new or existing partnerships are accepted. So thank you for all of the questions. Again, if we didn't get to all of them, we will look through the questions and make sure that they are listed on our frequently asked questions. And also, you're welcome to contact me with your questions. So before we say goodbye, I just want to encourage you again to carefully read through the grant guidelines and the frequently asked questions. On our website, we do provide the questions that you will be asked to answer in the letter of interest form. You can also download the entire guidelines, which might be easier to digest from our website, and you can access additional resources such as this recording from our website. Please know that we aren't able to review LOIs, but we can answer questions that you may have. You can call or email me with any additional questions. And also, I have set up a limited number of 15-minute phone calls, July 9th through the 12th, in the mornings and the evenings. So I encourage you to visit our website and pick a time if you have a more in-depth question. Otherwise, you can call me or email me at any time. Just kind of to end, these projects from the last 5 years have been very impactful, and we applaud the work that's been done in our Southern communities. We look forward to reviewing your submissions for the upcoming year. And I just want to thank you again for joining us today and to wish you luck with your submission. Thanks, and take care, everyone.